in. So guys, welcome to the call today. So on today's call, I know so many people are new to this call, and what we're going to dive into today, I have my guest speaker here, Tony Swantek. Some of you may have heard from Tony before. I think a lot of people may be hearing from me for the first time, Tony. And, you know, we're going to talk about blockchain technology. We're going to talk about different businesses or projects, as they call it in this space, who are using blockchain technology and why they're using it. And also the Connect community, which is really helping grow those projects as well. And so for those of you, just before we do dive into those details, for those who don't know Tony, and the reason that I always love to get Tony on, it was just over 12 months ago, actually, Tony, that I was first introduced to you. And I had one of my best friends and my business partner actually send me a call. And she said, "Can you look at this? I think it's good. I think we need to look at this a little bit more, but let me know what you think." And I watched that call, and I'd been kind of dabbling in this space a little bit, but truly had no idea. And you really helped me understand it at a whole new level. And I hope that, and I'm sure that that's exactly what's going to happen for those who are new into this space today, to really understand blockchain technology, where we are in the world, the adoption of it, why businesses are using it, and really the importance of it. And since that time, I mean, it's been a wild ride, really just, you know, finding the different projects that are part of this and helping grow them and also be a customer of them. You know, we're on R-Link right now. I know that's one of the businesses that we're going to be talking about. But I think where I'd love to kick it off, Tony, you know, your background, and I don't say this lightly, but you've built $3 billion businesses. I have never scratched the surface of doing anything like that. I don't know if I ever will. It's hard to comprehend, I think. You know, it's such a huge achievement. But with building $3 billion businesses, I know one of them has exceeded 10 billion in revenue. I think the thing that I find most interesting, and I know that you'll touch on it, is in the last 18 months, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have really dialed in your focus, you know, single focus on this, on putting your time and your resources into the projects in blockchain technology, and particularly into this ecosystem. And that tells me something, and means that you know something that maybe most people don't, or you see something with this technology and with projects playing in this space that most people don't, because most people have never built $1 billion business. And so I'm sure you'll speak to that a little bit more today, but I might just hand it over to you. And guys, we will go into a Q&A after this. So as you're listening to Tony, and I'm sure you're getting light bulb moments and learning new things, just pop your questions in the chat section. And if we have time, we'll definitely go into a Q&A and answer them the best we can. So over to you, Tony. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it. And I know there's probably going to be a lot of new folks that are really brand new to blockchain and the technology, and probably similar to me. You know, I would call it a low tech type of entrepreneur. I'm not a high tech individual. You know, my phone, I'm sure there's like a million things this thing does. I use it to make calls. I use it to check email, set my schedule, and, you know, surf the internet if I need to get information on something. That's about it. You know, my car, there's so much stuff it can do. Those things are like computers these days. So I just pretty much turn it on and drive it where I need to go and get out. You know, I listen to music and make some phone calls on there. But it's funny because people that'll have, you know, the same kind of cars or same phones are like, "Oh, you know, that'll do live translation, your phone?" I'm like, "No, I had no idea," you know. And it's just, for me, I'd gotten into, you know, the business world and really right out of college. I played college tennis and tried to play professional tennis and wasn't good enough. I was losing too many matches. And so moved in with my parents and was looking for something to do. And I actually met some mentors and people that were extremely successful that took me under their wing and started me out in business, and fortunately did really well and started several different companies in a lot of different industries over the years. And I got involved in cryptocurrency pretty early. I guess 2010, I read the white paper for Bitcoin, which was kind of very early, like within its first year of existence. I didn't do anything with it because I think maybe because I was not tech savvy enough. I just like the concept of limited supply of tokens and proof of work is kind of, and I'll explain that for a little bit in a little bit. So folks that are new to the blockchain world understand it, but I just like the concept, but I wasn't tech enough to do anything about it. Then in 2013, we started buying Bitcoin, our first Bitcoins, and just buying it, and I thought it was just a good store of value. And I knew it was high risk, and I guess potentially still is, I guess. But it seems like I guess my first Bitcoin purchase was at $250 US per coin, and now it's a lot more than that per coin. And so it's good, But I always had friends that would tell me, "Oh, Tony, yeah, crypto's great," and these are people that made a lot of money in crypto. And they were like, crypto's great, but blockchain technology is what's important. Blockchain's where it's at. And I never really wanted to delve into it. I think like most humans, maybe I don't like to learn new things, I just, hey, it sounds great. I remember we were doing trading software in cryptocurrency. This was 2017. And we were doing extremely well. And one of my buddies that's very smart was like, yeah, I know we're doing well, but honestly, Tony, the blockchain technology is going to change the world. And I was like, bro, I said, I don't care why we're making millions of dollars trading cryptocurrency. I care that we're making millions of dollars trading crypto, and let's help others do it. Let's teach people. And that's what we're doing, teaching people how to use our software and making a bunch of money. And it was really about a year and a half ago. And some friends reached out to me. They had been involved in a project that I guess 2018 they shared with me. I kind of missed the boat on it. It was a project called Gala Games. And a buddy of mine was like, Tony, you got to buy these nodes for this Gala Games project. And I was like, what's a node? Because again, I bought cryptocurrency. I knew what a coin was, like a token or a coin or whatever. But a node, he was like, it's basically software that you can put on your computer, and this company will borrow your computer power basically to run their blockchain technology, and they pay you. And I remember I was like, well, how much do they pay you? And he goes, well, they give you Gala tokens. And this was back in 2018. I was like, well, how much is a Gala token worth? And he goes, well, right now, nothing. And I just remember I was like, this sounds amazing. You're going to borrow my computer power, give me magic internet money that's not worth anything. I said, it sounds amazing for their company, but I said, it doesn't sound so amazing for me. And he goes, well, Tony, it's not worth anything now, but if things go well and people start playing these games, it could be pretty valuable. They'll use these tokens, these Gala tokens, to transact in their games. And I wasn't a gamer or anything like that. So it's a long story, but I ended up buying these nodes to put on my computer. Nothing happened for a couple years. And so my buddy ended up refunding everybody. And this was 2020, like 2 years later. And I just remember I was like, I don't want a refund. Like, I'll just keep the nodes. I was like, I'll just roll the dice, see what happens. I bought 10 grand worth. It wasn't that big of a deal to me at that time. Not saying that's not a lot of money, but certainly everything's relative, I guess. If we ask, Elon Musk or somebody, if 10 grand is a lot of money, somebody that paid 40 billion for Twitter or whatever, probably not a lot of money. So I just was like, all right, I'll just let it ride. And he goes, Tony, it's easier for me to just refund everybody with one big push. Just call me back in a couple of weeks and we'll redo the transaction. I was busy. I had another business at that time. I'd started a restaurant delivery service in 2016 called My Town To Go. And it was like an Uber Eats or a DoorDash or a Just Eat. They're in Europe, Australia. I'm sure if you get hungry and don't want to go out to eat, you can order delivery. And companies will come and bring your food to you. So we were in 300 cities. It was what's called an Inc. 500 company in the U.S. In 2020. It was one of the fastest privately held companies in the world, actually. And we were exiting that company, actually selling out a third of it and then merging the other 2/3. And it was a really big deal. And I just was busy trying to make that deal get through the finish line. And I never called him back to buy those nodes, those software nodes. And what the nodes did is if you ran them every day, you just got these tokens, this magic internet money, and a lot of it. And so I forgot about it, never calling back. About another year went by, and then I saw him posting about this Gala project on his Facebook or whatever, like hashtag Gala, hashtag crypto. And I was like, what's all this about? You know, I called him up. I'm like, bro, what's up with the Gala thing? And he was like, Tony, he goes, there's millions of people playing these games and using this token. I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. He goes, I started selling tokens over the last month and a half or so. And I go, how much have you sold? And he goes, a little over $40 million worth. And I was like, huh? I was like, what? I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I was like, no way. And he shows me like his Binance account. And I was like, you sold tens of millions of dollars of this token. And our other buddy, Wright, had helped start the project. And I go, how many tokens does Wright have right now? And he goes, Wright's got about $4.3 billion worth. And I was like, and then I tell people you should never ask the final question that I asked if you miss an opportunity. But I go, if I would have called you back and bought the 10 grand worth of nodes, I said, how many tokens would I have right now? And he goes, he starts doing math, and he's like, you'd have had 20 nodes, he said. And he goes, if you sold all the tokens today, it would actually be a little over $11 million, he said. And what's even crazier, not obviously it's a pretty good punch in the heart for an entrepreneur to like have one. I was thinking to myself, like, what was I that busy doing that I couldn't take 10 minutes and call my buddy back and redo this transaction, you know, but I just was busy and just forgot, you know, life got in the way or whatnot. And what's even crazier, like that coin is still one of the top 100 cryptocurrencies in the world. 5-6 years later, you know, after I forgot to call him back in 2020. So, you know, over 5 years later. And even today, even if I would have sold all those tokens that day in 2021, this would have been almost 5 years ago. Even now, if I had those nodes, it would generate about $40,000 to $50,000 a month worth of tokens. And the trading volume back then, it was one of it was actually the fastest growing cryptocurrency in the world in 2021. The number one performing crypto on the planet during the last bull run. Their trading volume was around $5 billion a day. They had a $40 billion market cap. And, you know, obviously if I would have had $11 million worth of tokens, you could sell that in a matter of minutes if you're doing 5 billion in trading volume. Like, it's a very liquid asset. But if I had today $40,000, $50,000 a month in tokens coming in, it traded the other day. I saw its trading volume was 700 million. Not long ago, 90 million. You know, you see, so like if the trading volume was 90 million, I could certainly sell $50,000 worth again, probably within seconds. And so I just chalked that up as a missed opportunity. You know, it wasn't the first, it wouldn't be the last. And I think all of us as individuals, as entrepreneurs, as business people, there's always times where we're at the right place at the right time and we don't realize it, you know, and maybe you even realize it, but you don't take the action necessary to take advantage of it. And so I just chalked it up as kind of a lesson, right? Like right place, right time, but didn't realize it, didn't take the actions that were necessary. And certainly I moved on with my life. That's all we can do, right? And about a year and a half ago, both of those buddies called me back and were like, hey, we want you to look at some of the blockchain projects we're working on. We want you to help us grow them and potentially help us find new projects. And because I watched what happened in 2020 and 2021 and watched kind of what they did and what I did by missing out, I was extremely busy. I'd started a big accounting firm called Jorns and Associates in the United States. And that's the one that we've done over 10 billion in tax credit volume for our clients. We actually did that over our first 24 months. Started that company July 1st of 2021. And it's actually, we're now one of the largest providers of COVID tax relief in the world for business clients. And we're actually scaling up now to be one of the largest research and development tax credit providers in the world for business clients. And so it's a big accounting firm, and it keeps me pretty busy. But they called me, and even though I was really busy October of 2023, because I saw what they had done in the past, I was like, well, where do I need to go? Like, what are you guys working on? Like, let me take a look. And I did. And I met some people that were working on their projects. One of the ladies I knew, and I'll talk about here briefly. I'll do a quick overview. I guess I'll share a PowerPoint if you guys want. I know there's new people, and sometimes people are visual and they want to kind of see more information than just hear it. But before I go into that PowerPoint, I want to share a little bit about the lady that I met. She came in to present one of their projects. It was called Switch. It was a banking blockchain. And she's their CEO. I knew who she was. I own a lot of different companies, over 50 companies right now currently that we run and own, all different industries, from a vacuum pump company that, like if you ever seen like package of bacon that's got like no air in it, it sucks all we do that. But like at hospitals that have surgery rooms that are clean rooms, our vacuums pull out all the debris and the bacteria and the dust out of those type of rooms. Airline, Boeing is a client of ours, Tyson Foods, so we have a lot of very big clients for that company. It's a big company and growing faster. But I have a credit card processing company that's pretty large, does 4 to 5 billion a year in credit card transactions. And the CEO of that banking blockchain, I knew her because of that business. She was one of the original founders of Discover Card and was the first president of Discover Bank. And when I saw her, I was like, what is she doing in blockchain? Because banking and blockchain, it's certainly coming together now. The world is starting to adopt blockchain technology and cryptocurrency and all that. But in 2023, banking and blockchain still were kind of like oil and water. They didn't really mesh. They didn't go together. And I just asked her, I said, what are you doing in the blockchain space? I was like, she was the president of like the Delaware Banking Association, which the state of Delaware is where like Chase Bank, Bank of America domicile out of. Like if you were going to pick a state to be the head of their kind of banking organization, you would choose Delaware in the United States, maybe of anywhere in the world. Some of the most powerful and largest banks are based out of there. And so I just said, how did you come over here? Like, how did they get you over here? And she looked at me and she started to educate me about blockchain. She said, Tony, she goes, blockchain technology will end up making everyone on planet Earth bankable. And that technology is something I want to be involved in. And as I started to really become educated, I knew after about that half-hour conversation with her that I needed to dig in to blockchain and figure out, okay, like, what is this technology? How can it impact us? And I'll share my screen real quick and go through a few slides, and then we can, like Nick said, we can go through some Q&A and answer some questions. But let me just share my whole screen. That's easier for me to do that way. And then let's go to this PowerPoint. So to go in depth into blockchain is probably going to take too long. So I want to hit some highlights of really what blockchain and what you'll start to hear a lot of entrepreneurs and people around the world talk about Web 3.0. And I look at blockchain and Web 3.0 as really technology that is advancing humans as a society. And if you think about different advancements throughout history, there's only a few things you really need to look at as far as technological advancements that really pushed society forward. I think one of the first advancements we could look at would close what I would call the knowledge gap. And if you think about the Gutenberg press, you go into the 1400s, prior to the printing press being invented, if you weren't nobility or royalty or extremely wealthy, you had no books, you had no access to knowledge. And the printing press closed that gap, and it really evened the playing field. All of a sudden, many people around the planet had access to knowledge, and that pushed society forward. And then if you go into the 1800s, we look at something like the combustion engine as closing what I would call the power gap. Prior to the engine, if you didn't have mules or horses or oxen, like no matter how much land you had, you couldn't really develop on it without that power, that horsepower, so to speak. Well, the combustion engine comes along in the 1800s, and that certainly evens the playing field there, where, today it's funny, but like some of us have more horsepower in our garage in a car or two than kings and queens of 100, 200 years ago had, because we are utilizing the firepower of the combustion engine. The internet, I would say, closes the distance gap. This is a good example, just, doing a meeting. I'm in Puerto Rico. We have people in the United States. We have people obviously all throughout Australia. You guys are about as far away from me on planet Earth as you can get. I certainly, we have people that come in from Asia on these meetings, South Africa. We've got people from, South America, Europe. So it's the internet that really allows that. We can share information. The internet allows us to share information real time around the world instantaneously. And because of that, I would say it closes the distance gap. The world is much, much smaller thanks to this technology, the internet technology. And if you look at blockchain, it closes what I would call the trust gap. It allows people, if the internet allows us to share information real time throughout the world, blockchain allows us to share value real time throughout the world. And you could look at that like money, like, a bank wire might take 5 days for me to send if you're in Australia, whereas if I sent you Bitcoin, it could take a matter of seconds, 2, 3, 4 seconds to get to you and be fully done within a minute or two. The transaction could be fully logged on the blockchain and complete, and at the fraction of a cost. It could cost, I've sent millions of dollars of Bitcoin in single transactions and paid under $2 in transaction fees. Whereas I've done international wires and my banks have charged me, $60 US to send that amount of money. And it took 5 days to hit their bank account. And so it doesn't just have to be financial, though. It could be, imagine your health records, being able to have access to them. Imagine being able to have clinical trials on the blockchain where no one could lie to you about a vaccine. No one could lie to you about a medication. You could see the trials from day one all the way through the end of the trial. And you'd know for sure whether this was healthy for you, whether it was bad for you, whether it did really fix the problem, whether it didn't fix the problem. And so that's what blockchain technology can do, is it allows people to share information and valuable information real time, and that information is true. I won't get into exactly how that works on chain, but I can tell you, as you learn more, my friends that would tell me blockchain is where it's at, and I was always like, I don't really care about the technology side. In 2023, after meeting with the former, initial president of Discover Bank, and she's educating me about blockchain, I called a lot of those friends back and was like, hey, remember how I made fun of you about blockchain technology and that I didn't care about it? I was like, I care now. I want to know why you were telling me what you were telling me 2, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Like, what is really important about this? I started getting every YouTube video, TED Talk, anything I could find on Web 3.0, on blockchain, and just gathering that information as fast as I could. And that's what got me more excited about what we're working on, about being able to be involved in what I would call the evolution of the internet. If you look at like Web 1.0, just tech savvy people, the military, no one was really using the internet much. And then you moved into kind of the Web 2.0 world where that's kind of where we're at today. Everybody uses the internet, everybody shares information. And then we're converting right now into this Web 3.0 environment that decentralizes the Web 2.0 environment. What I mean by that, if you think of the current Web 2.0 world that we live in, there's corporations that really control all of it. And I think, you look at the Googles of the world, the Amazons, Facebook, I think as humans, as a society, we have probably conceded to the fact that Mark Zuckerberg has been listening to me this whole time. And it's okay. Jeff Bezos is probably listening. And, if you take an Uber, they know where you live. They know what airline you flew on. They know what hotels you stay at, what restaurants you like to eat at. If you get on Zoom got caught. Gosh, it was probably 7-8 months ago now. They were sharing everyone's data with their AI. And people were flipping out over it, but it's like, what's your alternative? If you don't like them taking your data and sharing it with their AI, you can go to Google Meet, you can go to Microsoft Teams. Well, Google and Microsoft are better at mining data than Zoom could ever dream of being. And so it's like, that's Web 2.0. It's run by corporations. It's controlled. Our data, our networks, our content is all controlled by these huge corporations. And what Web 3.0 does is it decentralizes that. So instead of somebody like Mark Zuckerberg controlling all the data, what if the users controlled all of their own data? And they could decide if they wanted to share that data with anybody. And they could actually monetize that decision and get rewarded and paid for sharing their information, for sharing their content, for sharing their network. Imagine having that choice. And all I thought about was, if we were given that choice, I think all of us as humans, if we could choose to own and control our data or continue to have it stolen and people like Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos make billions of dollars off our data, I think every one of us would choose to own and control our data. And now we're starting to give people those choices. Even the World Economic Forum back in 2021 estimated that blockchain could disrupt up to $867 trillion in traditional markets. That's not a once in a lifetime shift in wealth. That is a once shift. Like our ancestors never experienced anything like this. Never, not even close. Like this shift, I remember shifting from kind of the Web 1 to Web 2. I remember sending my first email going, wow, this is cool. My mom answered me. I remember paying my first credit card bill using the internet going, wow, I'm never going to mail a check again. Like, this is way better. And those first steps into that Web 2 environment, it changed my life forever. Like, it really did. It made things more efficient. It made things faster. It's, I think for all of us, a webinar like this is because of that technology. It changed our lives. The shift from Web 2 to Web 3 is far greater. It's a much greater shift economically than the shift from Web 1 to Web 2. And the shift is happening much, much faster. Blockchain technology is growing today much faster than the internet ever grew in the mid-90s. The question for us, I believe, as business people, as entrepreneurs, is how do we take advantage of that? Like, what can we do to position ourselves in the middle of this 867 trillion? And this was 2021. I've heard numbers and estimates about 6 months ago as high as 1.3 quadrillion. And so how do we as entrepreneurs position ourselves in the middle of a $1.3 quadrillion shift? That's the beauty of our project. We have an ecosystem called Connect that allows us to choose different projects that we can align ourselves with. And without needing to be, these huge high-tech brains, which maybe some of you are. I'm not. And so how do people like me that are just kind of a low-tech, I love creating businesses. I love sharing new technologies, but I'm not going to develop them. I'm not going to fully understand them probably. So how do people like us position ourselves in the middle of this type of opportunity? This is it. I talked about our Switch banking blockchain. I'll just kind of go around clockwise in the circle. Switch is our banking blockchain. So allowing people to share value real time, to go from fiat currency, Australian dollars, into Bitcoin, Australian dollars into Ethereum, Australian dollars into Grow tokens. And I'll explain what Grow is here in a moment. That's what the Switch blockchain is designed to do, allowing people to get in and out of cryptocurrency and real fiat currency instantaneously, like doing it rapidly, doing it seamlessly. That's what that Switch blockchain is doing. Galvin is our health and wellness blockchain. Imagine owning your health data. Imagine being able to share your health data if you chose to, fully encrypted, fully anonymous, but you could share that data with an AI that could then aggregate people's data and over time, potentially end rare diseases. Imagine your neighbor's daughter had some rare disease and you said, wait a minute, download this app, load her health records on there, load her DNA records on there. It'll be anonymous. But within a nanosecond, the AI would get her data and it would go, this is not rare. We have 2,712 people in our database that have the exact same symptoms, the exact same issues health-wise. And actually 2,347 of those people have started this treatment procedure across 5 different continents and had amazing results within 60 days or less. And AI is recommending that you go to your primary physician, share this information and data with them, and see if they can start you on the treatment procedure immediately. That's giving people power back when it comes to their health and wellness and being able to control their own destiny when it comes to their own health. Element is our decentralized mining blockchain. Imagine being able to mine gold and own gold before it's even mined. What if you could own cobalt, diamonds, any precious metal before they're even pulled out of the ground? And that's what blockchain technology will allow people to do. You could save the environment. You could actually market and sell and buy gold at probably 15 to 20% cheaper. Diamonds, cobalt. Imagine knowing if you had to mine it and pull it out of the ground, you would know whether it was mined ethically, or were there children that were held at gunpoint, slave wages, slave labor, in the cobalt mines in West Africa, or was it mined ethically by adults who were paid a fair wage? And I think, unfortunately, every one of us that has one of these smartphones, computer, if you're on a computer, like every one of us, we have metals, precious metals through just the lithium batteries alone, that it's about 100% likely that a child or a slave labor mined that battery for you. And my thought is this: if you could pay a little bit more and you could know that the batteries and the precious minerals were mined by adults and were paid a fair wage, I'd pay an extra $100 for a smartphone to guarantee that it was mined ethically, and that after the mine was depleted, that they came behind with, mangrove trees. They backfilled with farmable soil. They basically reclaimed the land for the people so they could actually grow food and crops on it. That's what the Element blockchain does. Give is our charitable blockchain. I know last year alone, we built the Give blockchain helped to build 2 orphanages in Tanzania. I know put over $1 million worth of shoes on children's feet in Africa that couldn't afford shoes, built numerous wells. I know they saved over 3,000 children from child sex trafficking last year alone. And I know this year they've already saved hundreds of children, and the number is going up every single day. But they've also, I think they're on pace through the Give blockchain to help build over 100 orphanages throughout Africa. And what's great about the Give blockchain is it's fully transparent. Every dollar you put into the Give blockchain goes to the charity that you choose, the NFT charity you choose, and then you can see through that charity to the penny where your money went. Oh, this one went to a well in this village in Africa, and these are the people and the children that are using that well to get clean water. You can track it. These are the children that we saved through this trafficking project where we went through in Southeast Asia. Now, you won't see their names or anything like that. They remain anonymous, but you saved 14 children through this operation in Southeast Asia on April 12th of this year. Whatever, it'll show you that to the penny where your money went and the good that it did in the world. Grow is our agricultural blockchain. I know we've got farms in Australia now. India, I think, is coming online. I think we've got maybe 9 farms in the United States, but more are being added on. Imagine just being able to know what you're putting in your body. Imagine if you ordered a steak and it came out with a QR code. And if you snap that code, it told you, like, this is cattle number 117645 from Royal Ranch Family Farms in Washington State in the United States, certified organic, free range Angus, never been injected with hormones, never been injected with steroids. It was, grazed on 1,112.5 pounds of grass annually during its grazing lifetime. It was processed 2.5 weeks ago right at Royal Ranch Farms. It was shipped refrigerated, never been frozen. It's there for you to enjoy on your plate. And if you like it, you could order that directly from that farm and have it shipped to you. Imagine being able to order fruits and vegetables in Australia and have them shipped directly to you, knowing that they're organic, knowing that they came from that particular farm, knowing when they were planted, knowing when they were harvested. If we could choose to know those things, I think all of us as humans would choose to know what we're putting in our body. Is it really good for us? And that's what the Grow blockchain allows. Revo is our decentralized ride share. That's like an Uber. Imagine being able to take a ride, pay less than Uber. The driver earns about 40% more for the exact same ride, and it's already operational. We're in beta, but I think they're doing rides in about 40 cities throughout the United States and getting ready to move into some international cities as well. That's a blockchain that allows us to handle transportation and eventually other travel modes of transportation coming really, really soon. Then we have this platform, the Rally blockchain, which this project's called R-Link, that's on the Rally blockchain. And I'll kind of wrap up with this one. I want to stop sharing my screen and I'll show you kind of some of the differences. I'm a host on this meeting, so I'll kind of share just a few things about the Rally blockchain, and then I'll kind of share with you how you can be involved with our projects. And then, as Nick said, we'll certainly open it up for some Q&A. But I look at this platform more as what I would call a conversion platform versus just a presentation platform. Now, certainly I've been presenting on here. What's cool is, though, I don't have to necessarily share screen to present or type things in the chat to show people things. Like, I can bring up what we call to action buttons, where I can bring up information about our community. I can bring up video if I want. So there's different widgets that are available where I can go through how to get started with the widget platform. Like, if I said, how did you pull up those buttons? I can pull up a video.
Hey there, my name is Kim.
Shows
and today
you
we're diving into the exciting
how to
world of
build out
R-Link's
our
button bar
buttons.
widgets. Get ready to turn your meetings from
Normally,
snooze fest to interactive
if I want to show a
extravaganzas.
video on like Zoom, I have
Imagine
to share my
every
screen.
meeting turning into a
I
mini
can
showcase for
mute
your
this
best
if
links
I
and
want to. I can pause it. Normally, I would have to share my screen, change audio settings. I would have to go to, usually YouTube, wait 5 seconds, skip the ad, and then now we're watching a video. Here, I can just go right in to videos. And when I'm done with the video, I can just hide it for any type of business, any type of company. And so for me, I'm sitting here going, this is way, way easier to present and to call to action. Like if I want to pull up button bars and share that, with individuals, it goes through how to do all that. These videos show me how to build that, and then I can build them in. And so I look at this and go, if I can use that to actually convert sales, if I'm presenting anything and then converting, that's better than not converting. So we price out better than Zoom, even at the lowest levels. But at the higher levels, my enterprise with Zoom, I save $3,400 a year using the R-Link platform. $3,400 a year. I had up to 1,000 people per meeting with Zoom. Here, I have up to 3,000 people per meeting, and they're increasing that. They're growing that up. There's going to be a package we're working on that'll do up to 100,000 per meeting. Now, most people don't need that, but we have people like Tony Robbins. We work with a lot of his leadership team and are working to create a platform for them that they can do one meeting with 100,000 people on it. Doesn't seem like a lot of people would need that, but there's a few out there in the world that would be important to them. And so being able to be better, price better, have more bells and whistles, better tech, own your own data, instead of having Zoom owning our data, sharing it with their AI, in this platform, there's no owners. There's no corporation that's sitting there gathering our data. The users own this platform that we're on right now. This R-Link platform is owned by the community that uses it and helps to run the blockchain. And we voted as a community that every user on our paid version owns their own data. And if they choose to, they can monetize their own data. We're getting ready to turn that on as well. And so imagine being able to control your own data and being able to make money if you decide to share it. And then last, but certainly not least, just for using the platform, you can earn cryptocurrency, earn digital rewards just for using the platform. And if you share the platform with others, you earn even more cryptocurrency. Zoom is never going to pay you for using their platform or sharing it with others. And so this is so easy because there's no loyalty in this space. I've had so many people convert over and they send me usually a screenshot of their Zoom cancellation. And it's kind of funny because it's like they're sending me their Zoom cancellation, but they're saving thousands of dollars, some of them. They're getting better service. They're owning their data, and they're rewarded with cryptocurrency just for using their platform. There's no loyalty in this space. And now all of a sudden, our ecosystem is creating loyalty. Like I won't get on a Zoom. I won't do a Zoom. Some business owner, real estate guy wants to show me their project. I'm like, great, here's a link. We can use mine. A lot of times they'll send me their Zoom and I go, hey, let's use this platform. It's decentralized. We own our data on it. It's a lot better. And I get no pushback. Nobody ever cares. They're like, great. And then almost always after using the platform, those people that are showing me the real estate deal, they're like, hey, how do I get this? Because I show them some of the widgets. I show them how we can do things. And they're like, this would be way better. Like, I want to use this to show my properties and to show the different real estate areas that we're expanding into and the new developments we're working on. It's like, great, I'll show you how to use it. And then I'll show you how to set up, your different projects, and you can share them with others. And so I'm looking at this going, we're going to attack Zoom. I don't know how we don't win. On paper, it's probably my first time in life as an entrepreneur where I'm going up against a company that's got a $22, $23 billion market cap, and I'm favored. I price better. My technology's better. I'm letting everybody, we all own our own data, and we all own the platform that use it and get rewarded for using it. Like, I beat them every single area. And so we can go to the market with this opportunity and really make a dent in an industry that's prime for everybody to make a dent into it. And so I'll wrap up with this. Really, if you said, hey, this looks really cool, these projects sound great, like, how can I help? There's really three things people can do. Number one, they can operate nodes in one of our projects or all of our projects. Buy node software, put it on their computer. I put mine in the cloud. And so you can have a third party host your node software if you don't want it on your laptops or whatever. And you earn tokens for doing that. Now, I've bought In 2023, I bought, it was $53 million worth of node software, which I don't recommend doing that. I did that for a few reasons. There were big tax advantages in the United States. That node software, the way it was classified, it was a depreciating asset. It's called off-the-shelf software. I don't know Australian tax laws or anything like that, or if you're in Europe or whatever, but I knew there were some huge tax advantages for me. But I was also helping to fund some building of blockchains, layer one blockchains. So all of these projects that I shared with you, they live on what's called a layer one blockchain, which a layer one blockchain is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. Blockchain, if you're new to crypto or new to blockchain, you might have still heard of Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's because those are layer one blockchains. There's other projects that layer on top of Ethereum or on top of Solana. Those are called layer two blockchain projects. We are not layer two. We are layer one blockchain projects. Now, the problem with the layer one blockchain is it is extremely expensive to build those out. And so like Ethereum and Solana raised, I think it was $600 million and $400 million respectively to build out those chains. And so a lot of the money that I put in helped to build those blockchains up. And all I was doing was purchasing nodes that in turn I was rewarded with tokens for helping to run those blockchains. So you can do the same thing I did. If you purchase a node for this Rally blockchain and help us run our blockchain and all our transactions are logged on that blockchain, you're earning Rally tokens for running these R-Link meetings. You're earning Rally tokens for me running my meetings if you're running one of those nodes. Now, that's one way to do it. A Rally node is not cheap. It's about $5,500 US to buy one Rally node. It generates around 3,000 tokens a day. They're worth like a tenth of a penny. You're making a few bucks a day, 900,000 bucks a year, maybe something like that right now, but we're not trading. It trades like $20,000 to $40,000 a day in volume. Like there's not a lot of people that want to sell their tokens, so there's not a lot of volume. But we're getting ready. The community owns a bunch of nodes. The community does, and we're going to start. The community is voted to seed the market when we're ready, and so we'll start seeding the market with some tokens. And so I do think you'll see potential increase in value of tokens if people want to buy them, and that's kind of what happened with the gaming project. When it peaked, it was about 87 cents a token and a $40 billion market cap. This project that we're on right now, this R-Link project, we've done more revenue our first 4 months in beta than Gala Games did their first 4 years combined. Now, that doesn't guarantee we're going to continue that trajectory, but if we do, I just sat down and was like, man, imagine, it could be worth zero a token, but imagine it was worth $1 a token. Imagine it was worth more than Gala went. And if I'm getting 3,000 tokens a day, it's like, man, that'd be like $3,000 a day if I started selling it at that time. And so that's huge upside. And certainly it comes down to, is there real world utility in the token? Are there people that want the token so they can use it to pay for their meeting software, so they can use it to take a ride, so they can use it to buy food from a grow farm? Our tokens are going to be interchangeable. Switch is helping us make that come to fruition, where I could use my Rally tokens and instantaneously buy beef from a grow farm, and it'll convert to a grow token and give me my food right away. And so being able to use the token to actually feed my family, I think that's a better use case than using it to play a game online and buy your dragon or your cow from your farm on your play game. Buying a real cow and being able to buy beef and put it in my family's belly, and feed my family, that's a better use of blockchain in my opinion. So buying nodes and helping us run the blockchain, that's one way to be involved. You can buy the tokens. You can do that. You can go right into Uniswap. If you're, familiar with cryptocurrency, set up a MetaMask wallet and buy the tokens. Switch is getting ready to launch these NFT token bundles where you can go in and buy bundles worth of tokens, like a $250 bundle or a $500 bundle, or I think a $5,000 bundle. Actually, at that bundle, I think you get 30% more tokens than you would just going into Uniswap. So those bundles will be launching here very soon, hopefully this week. And so you can buy those tokens and help us create, a buy side pressure because, hey, people want to buy some of these NFTs. That's great. The third way is you could help build the community. That's probably the best thing we're looking for now, the most important thing is community build. So if you're using Zoom, I would say, hey, stop doing that and stop letting them make, trillions or, billions or whatever it is off our data. And why not you own your own data? Why not you get rewarded for doing something that Zoom is not rewarding? If you're using Google Meet, if you're using Microsoft Teams, stop that. Like, use your own platform, use your community owned platform that you're one of the owners in. And so if you do that, and then you tell others about that, you get rewarded with these tokens over and over and over again. It can be substantial. The community build side, you actually right now, the community builders are earning more tokens than the node owners right now. The token's not worth much. So if you get $5 worth of tokens, it's a lot of tokens when it's a tenth of a penny. As the token trades and it goes up, if it's $1 a token, you get 5 tokens for that same action. It's still $5, but again, one Bitcoin is still one Bitcoin. In 2011, it would have cost you $1 to get one Bitcoin. Now, it could be $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 to get one Bitcoin some days. And so, timing and positioning is everything. I always tell people I'd rather be at the right place at the right time than to be smart. I'd rather be lucky than good. And so the question becomes, are you at the right place at the right time? Hopefully, I've done a good enough presentation that you're like, hey, at least you should want to learn more. But my mentor, probably, one of my most successful mentors, and I've had 2 mentors that were multi-billionaires. And he said, if you want to be extremely successful, 3 things need to happen. You need to be at the right place at the right time. You need to realize you're at the right place at the right time. And he said, probably most importantly, you need to take massive and immediate action. Hopefully, I've been eloquent enough to get that point across that, hey, this is the right place at the right time. This is that transition from Web 2 to Web 3. This is where people can make a decision to either have Mark Zuckerberg continue to spy on them or not, to have Jeff Bezos, to have Zoom continue to spy on them or not. And if people start making that decision that they want to control their data and their information, you can position yourself to take advantage of that. So for those of you that want to make that decision, I would tell you to connect with whoever invited you onto this webinar, whoever shared the recording with you, and tell them to send you a link where you can sign up for free into this ecosystem. Sign up for free, go through the academy, start to learn about blockchain, learn about Web3. And then if you said, you know what, I really like the idea of that farming blockchain, I want to buy a node and get those tokens. Or I love this meeting software, I want to buy a node and help support this platform. Or, hey, I want to buy some of those tokens from those bundles. You can do all of that right from your shopping cart, but you can start for free. And then what I would tell you, probably more importantly than that, if you're using Zoom, start using our link. If you're using Google Meet, start using this platform. It's better. It's a better platform and you control it. So I appreciate each and every one of you sharing your time with me. Certainly we can open it up for a little bit of Q&A here. I think maybe if you guys wanted to stop the recording, you can. But I'm happy to answer any questions, fill in any blanks that people have here today with us.
Brilliant. So amazing. Wow. I just want to say a massive thank you, Tony. I think everyone, as we're seeing in the comment section, it's just to really grasp what you are sharing with us is so important. And I just want to, suggest to everyone when we get this recording out, please listen to it again. If I take myself back 12 months ago, I didn't listen to you once, Tony. I had you on repeat, over and over, just to connect all of the dots. And, those 3 points of suggestion that I think you said a mentor passed on to you, and obviously grateful for you passing it on to us, is just, lean in. When someone is doing big things in the world and when someone's achieved something you never have, just lean in. I think it's one of my best skills is I'm just a student. Sure. I listen to those who have the vision, who have a certain way of thinking, and lean in and hold on and learn what you need to learn. So we will stop the recording here. Thank you for those who have listened in and those who are watching the recording. And as Tony said, just reach out, sign up for your free account and get learning. And get asking questions. We've got the community, we've got support groups to be able to do that, and we'll open it up for Q&A now as well.